Hi everyone, welcome to 2018. And this year I'm starting a new feature on my blog called Reading Tips Tuesday. And this is the first. Hopefully they're all going to be on video. And they're all just tips for readers who want to read those books. And of course, going into the new year, we're making reading challenge goals. A bunch of you are probably on Goodreads and have already set that goal, but maybe you're already rethinking, or should I have done more? Should I have done less? And thankfully, there's time to change it, I think. But so today I want to talk about setting real reading goals. And what I mean by real is realistic. Ones that really challenge us, but really are something we can obtain, because there's nothing more frustrating than realizing you can't reach a goal. I know that I personally have always set very high goals for myself, especially when I'm writing, and almost never make them, and it makes me frustrated and grumpy, which is something I've changed this year. I'm really working on making real and realistic goals. So when we're talking about reading goals, there are about 5 things you want to keep in mind when you're setting that goal to make it realistic. So the first one is your reading speed. I read fairly fast. I can sit down with a book this size, and if I can read it in approximately 5 hours. Okay, so this is about 250 page to 300 page book. So, and that's fiction. If it's nonfiction, I want a little bit more time to digest it, so I'll probably do it in a couple days. Now, that means this book will keep me busy for about approximately 3 to 4 days, according to the time I have. And sometimes a lot less, because I like to sit and just read if I can. But different people have different reading speeds. I've never actually timed myself, so I don't exactly know. But I know that these books, on average size novel takes me about 2 to 3 days if I'm really focused on it. Sometimes when I have less time, it took me 4 or 5. But I typically could get through 2 books in a week, typically, without much thinking, and that's varying in size. But just think about your reading speed. It doesn't have to be exact science. I read this many words per minute, because that's obviously not what I do, but you just keep that in mind when you make your goal. The second thing you want to keep in mind is the time that you have. Obviously, if you're a full-time student, you're going to have a lot less time to work than even somebody who has a full-time job, because as we all know, students just have all that studying time and class time and stuff. Where if you do have a full-time job, you're not going to have as much time as a part-time person. And also be honest, if you work from home like me and your job is a little bit flexible, that still means you have a job. I think one of the things that people can get into their head is that if they don't have a typical 9-to-5 job, they allow some of the pressures from the outside to say, oh, you have a lot of time, and you know in your heart that you don't have as much time as they think. But sometimes it's easy to get pulled into it that, oh, well, if I work, I can do more time reading, which not exactly the thing. So think about that. The third thing is your goals for the year. If you're trying to make your way through a bunch of Netflix series, be honest with yourself, first of all, is what your priorities and what your goals are. If you're going to be doing a lot of movie watching, or you are spending a bunch of your free time mentoring, or doing a Bible study, or Sunday school, or something like that, you need to take that into consideration when you're making that goal. Even if you could get through 2 books a week, if you are going to be out 3 nights a week, probably are not going to be able to make that 2 books a week. So just keep that in mind. And the type of books you're going to be reading. I could get through, 2 to 3 I could easily get through about 3 fiction books in a week if I want to, but if I have a nonfiction, it takes me a while because I like to stop and digest. Now that doesn't mean I can't. So taking the type of books here too. If you're going to be reading classics, it'll probably take you longer than it will be to read a modern fiction book. So taking the types of books you want to read into account is important. And again, it also depends on your reading speed of those types of books. And the last thing to consider is what you want to challenge yourself to do. If you want to kind of stretch yourself, or if you want to stay within a safe zone. If you're really busy and want to just make sure you can meet that goal, maybe one a month is a good goal for you, and which is totally fine. I mean, one of the things I think that sometimes we can get into is, especially for those of us who are like on Goodreads and stuff, it's like, wow, that person reads a lot more than I did. I have a couple friends who read a couple hundred books a year because they're faster readers. They have a different time schedule, and I'm just like, I wish I could do that because that sounds so cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to get through 200 books in a year? I mean, that would be amazing. But, realistically, I know I can't do that. And then, of course, there's people who feel guilty because they set a goal for 20 books in 2017 and didn't make it. And, that's discouraging, especially when you're looking at the person like, oh, I only read 100 books. How disappointing. And you're like, didn't make my goal of 20. So, setting up the realistic and for the type of books, for your goals, and what you want to do to stretch yourself. This year, I'm going to make it a goal to do 100. I did it this year. I've been a little bit hesitant to do that many since the year I missed my goal. I normally do quite a few. I usually do a little bit over 100 a year. But like I said, since I missed the goal, it was really hard to set it at that. But I want to stretch myself some, and I want to do some harder books. I keep telling myself I want to do more classics, and so this year I'm actually going to just make it a goal to get through one classic book a month, and I'm going to pick those out and just sit down and do it. And I'm going to probably start with something I know I really like and then move on to some stuff that's kind of an experiment for me. So, of course, making these goals can be challenging, and I would really just offer one of the ways I'm able to read so many, because unfortunately I can't sit down and read a paperback as much as I used to. I remember when I was in school, I would just devour books all the time. I probably did read. I didn't keep good records, but I probably did read a couple hundred in a year because I was always reading. Plus, the books that were written for my age were shorter, so it was easier to get through 200. But the thing that has helped me get through a lot is, one, make it a priority. I typically read more than I try to read more than I watch movies. Some years I don't make that, and shame on me. But so it's more important to me than catching up on shows and stuff. So again, making real goals. Know where your priorities are. If watching movies is more important to you, then just build that into your goal and know it. Don't have to be ashamed of it, but just be honest. But for me, one of the things that makes it easier for me, is I have a Kindle and I have it read to me. Not the greatest voice, and it annoys my younger sister a lot because it does get annoying at times. But it's a way for me, I can do a project, I can be working on graphics for my blog and listening to a book go in, and maybe not the best voice, but I'm still getting the book in, and a great double use of my time. So for those who got Kindles, there's you an option. Audiobooks, for those who really dislike the voice of the Kindle, is also a good option. A lot of Kindle books, you can actually add narration for cheaper than you could get the audiobook, which is really cool. And so audiobooks are a great way. And then just make it a priority. Definitely is just carve out time. It doesn't have to be a set time each day. I know we love to do that, but I usually like the last 15 minutes, like before I go to bed, I'll curl up with a book, because then it's good time not to have a screen in front of me, to actually be just focused on a book. So about 10 to 15 minutes before I go to bed, that's where you typically find me. So comment below and let me know what your real reading goal is this year, and what you think of this new feature of Book Tips Tuesday. I look forward to hearing from you.